God, she has allergic rhinitis and conjunctivitis? The medical term for hay fever? Is there a priest on call? She doesn't have long. That is how healthy Kamala Harris is. Donald Trump is reduced to calling her allergies a very messy and dangerous situation.
Politics has produced plenty of unusual campaign battles, but few could have predicted that seasonal allergies would become the latest source of controversy. The debate began when Donald Trump seized on a routine medical report, portraying an ordinary case of seasonal allergies as though it were a serious health issue with national implications. That's when The Daily Show's Desi Lydic stepped in, immediately recognizing how exaggerated the entire narrative had become. She leaned fully into the satire, treating an everyday sneeze as if it were a life-threatening diagnosis, to expose just how overblown the criticism really was. The joke underscored a familiar political tactic. When there's no major weakness to attack, even something as ordinary as hay fever can be reframed as a dramatic crisis. The hope is that the intensity of the rhetoric distracts people from the fact that there's very little substance behind the claim.
From epidermal fragility, but we don't know anything more because he's never released his medical records. Perhaps one of his minions could explain why that's...
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support makes a bigger difference than you might realize. But Lydic wasn't content with simply mocking the argument. She quickly turned the spotlight in the opposite direction, exposing what she portrayed as a striking double standard that often gets lost in the political noise. While Trump focused intensely on his opponent's minor health issues, scrutinizing every detail of a routine medical report, questions surrounding his own medical history remained largely unanswered, hidden behind broad statements and records that had never been fully released. By drawing that comparison, Lydic highlighted what many viewers considered the strangest part of the entire health debate: the confidence required to demand complete transparency from others, while offering far less transparency yourself. That shifted the discussion beyond the boundaries of a late-night comedy segment and into a wider conversation about political accountability. Instead of debating seasonal allergies, attention suddenly turned toward the lack of publicly available information surrounding the very candidate calling for increased scrutiny of someone else. The change in focus left campaign surrogates and political allies working overtime, trying to explain why expectations surrounding public disclosure seemed to apply broadly across Washington, but not necessarily to the person leading the ticket. The brilliance of the comedic critique wasn't that it altered any facts. It simply redirected the audience's attention away from the distraction and toward the larger question of why so much remained hidden on the other side.
Healthcare plan, that's the name. It's called The Great Healthcare because it's great healthcare at a lower price. Mandates unprecedented accountability and transparency from insurance companies and all healthcare providers so that special interests can no longer profit.
Meanwhile, Trump's response continued to center on broad promises and sweeping claims. He leaned into a familiar communication style, presenting what he described as a great healthcare plan, while emphasizing an ambitious vision for improving the nation's health. The message was straightforward and reassuring: lower costs, greater transparency, an end to corporate greed. Each promise was delivered with complete confidence, relying more on bold branding than detailed explanations of how those goals would actually be achieved. It's a communication strategy built around powerful, optimistic language, where expansive claims often take the place of policy specifics. But when those promises were placed alongside Lydic's satire, they began to sound less like a fully developed legislative roadmap and more like a shield, designed to keep attention away from the finer details. That contrast captures one of the defining ironies of modern political theater. An ordinary allergy report can be transformed into a major political controversy, while sweeping policy proposals are condensed into memorable slogans and catchphrases. Trump has long operated on the idea that projecting unwavering confidence and repeatedly describing his plans as great can shift public attention away from requests for detailed medical records or comprehensive policy blueprints. As Desi Lydic pointed out through comedy, the humor lives in the gap between alarming political rhetoric and ordinary reality. When a routine case of seasonal allergies is presented as though it were a national emergency, it illustrates just how aggressively even the smallest details can be weaponized during a campaign. Whether that strategy ultimately persuades voters or simply creates more material for late-night comedians remains an open question. One thing, however, seems certain. As long as political figures continue inflating minor issues into major controversies, comedy will continue deflating those narratives just as quickly. What did you think of Lydic's take on the health debate? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, be sure to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Because when political campaigns move from debating the economy to treating a simple case of spring allergies like a national crisis, it's hard not to notice just how surreal the conversation has become. It also leaves one lingering question. What ordinary health issue will become the next campaign controversy?